To everyone out there who was requesting me to do a full-blown behind-the-scenes video on Ghosts of Midwinter Ballers, anybody who wanted to see this, here's the guy you have to thank for it, Niche and Nice. This dude made an analysis video about the lyrics of my song Trailer, in which he broke down not only that he had recognized that I had been asking people to, form a more analytical relationship with my music. I kind of felt like I was giving people all the answers, and as a result, people, when I put out new music, wouldn't try to seek out their own understanding of it. They were just kind of waiting for me to tell them what the music was about, and not really giving it a chance until they've heard an explanation for it. And when I did the Manic High, Manic Low analysis, I was very clear that I was upset with myself for even having to do it, feeling that I had to do it for people to understand the meaning of the album. So with Ghosts of Midwinter Ballers, I just said, fuck it, this music is good enough to stand on its own. People are going to enjoy this album one way or another if they vibe with it. I nailed what I was going for all over this thing. There's not a single track that I was disappointed in. There's not a single mistake on this album that I was disappointed in, the way that I've had on all of my other releases up to this point. This is by far the tightest thing I've done so far. Even if it's not necessarily my best or my favorite project that I've done, like I would say Gay and Dead is the most ambitious and fully realized that I've done, but like this one, I achieved exactly what I set out to do with it, and so I was just kind of content with it and didn't feel the need to explain myself. But this guy, Niche and Nice, was like, hey, look, I just really want to be able to like enjoy your music on this deeper level. Like, here's what I got out of it, and this is a fine interpretation. I enjoy the music this way, but I'd also like to know, what did you actually intend for these things to mean? And I was like, sure, I can give you that. The fact that someone's actually put effort into, trying to understand the stuff. By the way, this commenter, John J. Renz, also did an amazing cover of one of my oldest songs, like one of the first raps I ever wrote, a song called Done from my BC mixtape, and posted that on SoundCloud. So yeah, check that out too. So the first thing to understand about Ghosts of Midwinter Ballers is that this one is a concept album through and through. All of my albums have had some kind of conceptualization on them. Gay and Dead has like the frequent use of arc words. There's the overall structure of the album as it goes through these different arcs. But mostly it's a bunch of pop hits. It's a bunch of hype music. Bedroom Bedrock was really loosely conceptual. Above the Earth Haunted was more of just a tone piece. So this is the first one where I'm actually trying to tell a complete story and sort of paint an image of this period of time in my life. Specifically, the winter of 2017 and 2018, the period of about December through March, because of the fact that it stays winter for quite some time up here in Rochester, New York. And it was my first time experiencing that kind of brutal winter. Back where I'm from, it snows 1 or 2 days out of the year, tops. Here, it was snowing nonstop for months. We were buried in it, and it definitely affected the way that we were living our lives, and this album is about everything that my life was at the time. Now, for anybody who doesn't read the descriptions that I post of my albums on Bandcamp, there's sort of an ongoing narrative across all of my albums. Really, it's just that it's the progress that my life is making, as I go along living. But Bedroom Bedrock said it was about brothers sitting in their bedrooms, sending files back and forth and telling their life stories, and the Shaidu story about learning how to produce beats, and Digibro story about getting drunk enough to feel something and then screaming about his feelings. Some of their friends came along for the ride. So the only real concept there is that it's the two of us working together and just doing our thing, essentially. And if there's a thematic tie between the tracks, it's just because that's what my life was at the time. Now, at the tail end of Bedroom Bedrock, there's the song Final Stretch, where it's implied that we are lifting ourselves out of the bedroom, up from the bedrock, and that gets us to Above the Earth Haunted. After rising out of the bedroom and up from the bedrock, the boys found themselves floating above the Earth Haunted. It's an EP about how success doesn't automatically change you, and how complacency kills the man, and how it's hard not to be self-loathing when you see that the world is crumbling beneath your feet anyways. So basically it's just about the feelings I had at the time in early 2017, having become much more successful, as I state in the lyrics across Bedroom Bedrock. In the process of making the album, I had explosively become more successful, but obviously, the narrative went the way it did. So then we got to Gay and Dead. When our tower above the earth fell, we found ourselves back on the ground, lower than ever before, deader than Christ and gayer than God, not to mention fatter than the devil, fat and dangerous at that. This is an album about coming to terms with your brokenness and no longer seeing it as something painful, but just kind of hilarious. So yeah, this is where it was like the maximum broken, and it was just a hype album about like embracing your own issues and just kind of rolling with it and just being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna have fun being me. So then Manic High and Manic Low was really kind of not a part of this narrative at all. It was just more about the duality that I face in my life in general, that I've always faced, that I've always had these sort of, you know, balancing back and forth between periods of higher energy and periods of depression. But the characteristics of that flip-flopping had changed dramatically because of the way that my life had changed. It wasn't like I become depressed and suicidal the way that I might have, you know, when I was experiencing a low point earlier in my life. Instead, it's more aggression towards outside influences who have been fucking with me, and more about like holding myself up or having problems with my work and, you know, wondering if the lifestyle I've chosen is the one that I really want to live. These are a different strata of issues to be facing from what I was facing on, you know, previous albums where like my self-worth is in question, and it's really not on this album, even though there is a manic low point, you know, but the manic highs are extremely high because it's me being deeply in love with my fiance, or at the time girlfriend. Well, actually by the time this came out, fiance. So if you follow the hype cycle of my music, you will know that ever since Gay and Dead came out, there's been this idea in the ether that I'm going to make the next album well laid and well paid, as the next like tentpole piece of the narrative that's been going on throughout these albums. However, I have not felt as though I am capable of making that album yet, because while I am extremely well laid, I am not that well paid. I am well paid in the sense of like I can live the life I want to live, but I'm not the kind of well paid where I can throw down as a rapper, where I can like really put money into this aspect of my career and to afford the glamorous sound that I want the record to have. You see, I'm really good at creating dark, dangerous, disgusting music. Like the kind of stuff that I produce on my own without the help of, you know, MZ Shaidu or Blind Skywatcher is like nightmarish. And when I work with them, it's so that I can, you know, work on a beat that's more accessible than the kind of shit that I would produce, because I'm not really capable of making the kind of stuff that these guys make. But they are aesthetically similar enough to me that I am able to like tap into the sound and energy of their track and, you know, present a more extremified version of myself that can play against those sounds. But neither of them I felt would be able to create the kind of sound that I had in my head for Well Laid and Well Paid, because I want to make it a very ambitious album. I had a kind of structure that I wanted the songs to have that is not typical of hip-hop music or of anything that these guys have made, and I am not at a point where I can afford to work closely with them. Like, if I wanted to really work closely with either of them, I'd have to probably buy a lot of their time and energy, and, you know, it's for my project where I'm going to be demanding about what I want it to be, and I don't even know if they would want to work on something like that. And if I had the money to commission a producer, then, like, I could make the album, you know, like the way that a major, like someone like Kendrick Lamar would, where he can hire people to help him craft the song that he's imagining, or, you know, Childish Gambino making like Awaken My Love. I don't have the money to do that though. So can I really say that I'm well laid and well paid? That's why I haven't made the album yet. And the only two ways that I could possibly go about it is either I have to just be successful enough as a rapper already that I can afford to spend money on a production, or I have to become a good enough producer that I can just create the sound that I want on that album and, you know, have more of the effect of being spiritually well paid, that I've learned something, which I am going to, you know, chase after that goal, even as I hope to also chase after the other one. So we've taken a side story, because while I'm not working on Well Laid and Well Paid, I want to keep making music about what's going on in my life and the way that I feel right now. And so on his way down the road to the Well Laid and Well Paid life, he finds himself with the love of his life, but trapped for a year in the far north, where ghosts and Lovecraft demons and human beings and coyotes live, so they have to cuddle up for warmth at all times. During this period of reflection, he comes to terms with his feelings about leaving his home and buries his soul in the chest of his lover for the future. Read the track notes for more details. So yeah, I've basically given you the entire story of the album. This is what it's about. It's about this year that we spent here in Rochester, because when I first started dating her, you know, she was not capable of moving yet because she was still going to college, still had a job in the area, and she hadn't yet made the decision that she was going to quit her job and become a internet creative like I am. It was just that I ended up involving her in my work so much, and she took to it so quickly and enjoyed doing it so much that she ended up deciding on that career path. But this all happened during this winter time that goes on forever, this bleak northern time when you can't really go outside because it's just so inconvenient and there's not really that much to do that's unique around here. So you just kind of end up holed up inside of a room, smoking a lot of weed and fucking all the time. On this album, every track I wrote like a little sort of imagery explanation of like what I wanted you to picture while listening to the song. So here it says, the high-pitched squeal that keeps my heart pumping echoes over the blizzard, my voice just barely soaring over it by sheer force to reach my people. So that's the sort of imagery that I imagine with this song, is like slowly fading in like a cinematic sweep, like a camera sweep over like a house that's just being buried in fucking mountains and mountains of snow, and you pan slowly into the house to see me in my bed, you know. And that's mostly what like I would imagine with this part, because it's sort of a dreamlike, slow cinematic intro. Now this beat came out way back in 2016, I think. Shade made this around the time that I was working on Above the Earth Haunted, and the track was called Sounds Kind of Like a Sci-Fi Trailer on his SoundCloud. I didn't think I could rap over it because I thought that the song's purpose was that it was atmospheric, and it felt like it would diminish what he had created to try to rap over it. Like, it didn't seem like something that needed to have a rapper added to it. But then when I listened to it again while I was just trying to find older beats that I hadn't used yet that maybe I could approach with the more creative eye that I have for beat picking now, I listened to this one and I thought, well, I could just rap over just this one part of it and have it be like a cinematic build-up to my rapping and have it be something very distant and freakish and sci-fi-esque. So I wanted to call it Trailer so that it would be like a trailer for the album and be sort of an overture. But I needed there to still be that sci-fi element. Like, it was important to me that there is a sci-fi edge to this album. And when I think sci-fi and Northern Cold, I think, of course, of Lovecraft and At the Mountains of Madness, i.e. John Carpenter's The Thing. And of course, Lovecraftian horror has always been my thing, so evoking that kind of imagery is just natural to my kind of albums. There's also a little bit of, like, the Mist influence, especially in the album cover, which is also Lovecraftian horror from Stephen King. I don't know if you can tell that there are ghosts on the album cover. I don't know if anyone's looked at it closely enough. Mostly I was trying to evoke like this edgy 90s horrorcore aesthetic with the font, since I really wanted to have that vibe on the album, because that's the kind of music I've been really into lately. So I layered the trailer for The Thing over the song, and it fit pretty well, and I really liked the way that, while the song that Shade created is a little bit repetitive, like I do think it goes a little long, when I added in the trailer stuff, the way that that music evolves kind of added a little bit more flair to the build-up, and I thought like thickened it out just the right amount so that when you finally get hit with the overwhelming squeal, then you've got my vocals like occupying the whole mid-range, and it's just like something really intense in like every different sound channel. So getting into the lyrics. Follow me back from my dreams, translate for me what it means, gleam what you deem to be me, read it back to me to see, did we agree? This is literally me requesting analysis of my music, as was guessed by Niche and Nice. Follow me back from my dreams is me talking about you listening to my music, because this is basically me conveying my inner thoughts, the thoughts that I don't know how to put into clear words or to just express in a direct way. They are being captured instead in lyrics. And so when you are listening to my songs, it's like you're following me back from my dreams. And then I ask you to translate for me what it means. Like, tell me what you got out of this. Tell me, what do you think this means? Gleam what you deem to be me. Tell me, what is me? What is Digibro in your eyes? Read it back to me to see, did we agree? Does your image of me reflect what my image of me is? Like, are we on the same page with each other? Smothered in controversy. So this reveals that, like, the reason that I'm asking is that I have been smothered in controversy because of the fact that I've been misunderstood, because of the fact that so many, lies have been spread about me, so many weird ideas have been put out there about me that have nothing to do with my own self-image or how I have portrayed myself. Out by the lake where it bleeds snow from the trees. This was something that Niche and Nice kind of got stuck on because of the fact that it's broken into two lines, but if you're meant to read it all as one. Out by the lake where it bleeds snow from the trees. Not that the lake bleeds. Because of the fact that we live directly on Lake Ontario, there is really bad lake effect snow. And yeah, we're not going to live here for long, by the way. Like, we're moving in like a couple of weeks to Boston, but yeah, we have constant lake effect snow throughout the winter, so it's as though it was bleeding snow from the trees, covering me and my queen under a blanket of alabaster. So yeah, alabaster is white, of course, so yeah, it's just a blanket of snow. We get turned on the green, which is, of course, referring to marijuana, because that's most of what we've done, is just smoked weed throughout the entire fucking winter. Then we get up on the scene. This is referring literally to Twitter. Shout out some things that's obscene, light some fire under your seat, remind you all what it be to remember feeling. So I'm saying that the two of us will get on Twitter, we'll, express ourselves, we light fire under people's asses, because, like, whether it's positive or negative, the shit that we post makes people feel something. People are definitely going to have a reaction to the shit that we say. And we're, some of the last bastions of challenging you to have a fucking feel on the internet. Feel your heart healing and beat under the synth's wailing squeak. Remember what truth you seek, which parts of you that you need, if you should hope to succeed and to live like you a king. So I want you to feel that this high-powered synth, this ugly, distorted noise is here for you. It's here for you freaks and weirdos, you outsiders. This is here for you to embrace and to heal yourself with. Take in this harshness and embrace it. Heal your heart under the synth's wailing squeak. Remember the truth that you are seeking in your life. Which parts of you need that will help you succeed and live like you're a king. Because that's how I feel. That, that's where I've come, is that I feel as though I understand which parts of me that I need if I want to succeed and live like a king, and that's how I've been living. So in the intro to On That Back, I like to imagine that our camera finally makes it inside the house after, witnessing this blizzard from trailer, and we're in like a dark room. Like, I want you to picture like a dark, seedy place where like there's just maybe a strobe light is the only lighting. Like, you vaguely see flashes of this horrorcore persona that is like playing games with his catch. So the description I have here is, with no way to escape the house, the inner devil man comes loose and he puts her on her back. Upset by how long it took him to find great sex, he advises his people on how to seek and achieve it. So this devil man thing is just, ever since Devilman Crybaby came out, I've always been talking about fucking like Devilman, and like whenever I just go really apeshit while having sex, I call it letting loose my inner Devilman. So that's what that's a reference to. And just the idea that I'm so upset that I didn't achieve having like sex all the time and having the great sex that I could have always been having a lot earlier. And I try to advise people on how to, let it happen for you earlier so you don't end up like me. So that's sort of, this song goes through a lot of phases, and it's just because the very first idea I had listening to it, when I was listening to Blind Skywatcher's beat, which was called Phantom, I just came to this back, put you on that back, and it was kind of supposed to sound like the 2000s like whisper song kind of feel, something like a skeet and shit like that. Just that kind of really abrasively raunchy, but not so grotesque as to like really put people off the way that some of that music does, but like it would be something that's sexy but also aggressive, and the hook is I think everyone's favorite part of the song. It's a real strong hook. So I come in with my ultra high-pitched horrorcore voice. It ain't even 0 degrees outside. So right off the bat, it is literally below 0 outside. No place to run, no place you can hide. I'm saying we can't go anywhere. We cannot go outside. It's too cold. Thumping on that pussy, then I'm thumping on that hide, just literally thumping my dick against the pussy and ass. This the shit I'm bumping while I'm dumping off inside, meaning that I literally am making this album so that I can fuck to this album. This is something I started doing on Manic High, Manic Low because of the fact that I listen to a lot of music while having sex, and I came to realize that there are certain albums that felt as though they have almost a sexual trilogy or quadrilogy of songs where you'll hear several songs back to back that feel like they are different parts of one lovemaking session. For instance, the back half of Niggas on the Moon by Death Grips. That shit, the last 4 songs are like all about sex, and they sound like they are different phases of one sex, and ergo I've fucked to that album and I thought it was really great, and so I tried to capture that on my own albums. And this song is meant to be the start of a sex trilogy. Like, this song and the next 2 are like a trilogy of fuck songs that you're meant to continue fucking through. So yeah, this will be literally the music that I listen to while having sex. Visceral, I'm inadmissible. Like, no one is okay with me. I am so visceral as to be beyond anyone's capacity for cringe. Under everybody's skin like a botfly. So yeah, if you don't know what a botfly is, it's a disgusting fucking parasitic fly that grows under your skin and lays eggs inside of you. All my eggs spread poison in your mind. Soon the vision's in your grind, and you can't even touch your own dick without seeing mine. So what I'm trying to imply here is that I am so good at sex and talking about it and giving you the imagery of my amazing sex that you will be thinking about my sex when you are masturbating. Like, you will just be thinking about me fucking my wife while you're touching yourself because you're so convinced that it's hot. I'm an evil Weevil Knievel. This is just like a pure Endless Jest style line. Like, Evil Knievel, but a weevil, because a weevil is just like a gross sounding animal. I'm an evil Weevil Knievel, stealing out the sounds up out your pockets like a sneasel. So I'm kind of addressing the fact that I was doing like an Endless Jest thing by saying that, like, I take sounds from everyone. You know, this song is like a 666 Mafia kind of send up, even though the beat is like a totally unique Blind Skywatcher sound that is really like nothing else on the market. Taking all your rock and your rap and roll to contact the conjunction within my soul, because lately I've been really on, like, doing lots of rock and rap, incorporating rock elements into my rap music because, you know, that's more my background is rock, and I want to incorporate, like, screaming and the shit that I love to do vocally into my raps. Now I'm on patrol every time that booty moved just because my wife's got a nice ass and I like to watch her walk around. Catching all my drool as I fall around the room, self-explanatory. You pull up a stool, get your mouth around my bone. I can't keep my cool, so you might be getting thrown. So the idea is I take her off the stool and just throw her onto the bed and back, put her on that back. So then we get into the weird, trippy part. And in the lyrics, I had just written satanic interlude. But what I ended up using instead is another Cthulhian mythos clip. It's a clip of Mikolash from Bloodborne giving his speech, no one can stop us now. So then we get into some meta stuff. I wanted to get this out of the way early into the album because of the fact that right off the bat I was going deep in on like the sexual stuff, the weed smoking, all that, and I immediately knew that there were going to be people talking about how they missed like my old shit where I was talking about more deep and meaningful stuff that I guess I was just talking about my life the same way that I am now. But on Manic High, Manic Low, you know, I got a lot of criticism for the fact that people thought the music, like, wasn't as deep or that, like, lyrically it was faltering, even though I think Human Connections and Habitual are, like, 2 of my best lyrical fucking songs of all time. So I decided to address this, and also I was listening to a lot of Injury Reserve at the time that I made this song, and I think that Blind Skywatcher's beats kind of remind me of them a little bit. He's definitely from the same camp of production style, and I'm sure they've been an influence. So I was kind of approaching this with a similar flair to the main guy from that group. So someone told me, man, I missed the Digibro from way back when it seemed like you had a plan and you remained sad. Not all of this bullshit with the well-laid and well-paid fad, smoking weed all day and fucking you became a fake Chad? So, yeah, this is just people, like, these are the kind of complaints that have been levied at me. Like, it just feels like people think that I was deeper because I was sad. Like, that people don't connect with the happy songs that I make about just living a good life and having fun and, you know, smoking weed and fucking. And so, like, these people are not into this thing, and they're like, it feels like you became a fake Chad. And I respond, talking all you want, Jack. All of y'all can stay mad. I ain't sacrificing what I made to keep you stayed, Stan. So for those who don't know, a Stan is like basically a blind follower, or like someone who misses the picture on you as a person because of the way that they see you as a larger than life figure, referring to the song Stan by Eminem. It's a common rap slang. I'm repping the life I said I wanted every day, man. If you'd done the shit that I was saying, you'd be laid, fam. So here I'm saying, like, yeah, I've always been saying this is the kind of life I wanted to lead. Like, this is in line with the kind of person I've always been, the kind of shit that I'm doing now. Like, you should have known this is what a happy Digibro would be like. And if you'd been doing the things that I had been telling you to do all this time, like listening to my guidelines about, like, how to succeed and how to fucking take off, you'd be living the same way and you'd be, you know, getting laid. So this is where I decide to relent a little and just actually give advice to people who, like, maybe, you know, want to have a more sexual experience in their life. Because, you know, I've always been a horny motherfucker, and I was always hoping to, you know, meet someone through the internet or any other way I could. You know, my ex-girlfriend I met online and lost my virginity to, so then my fiance I also met online. So I'm just trying to tell you guys, like, hey, if you want to be someone who lives the life where you fuck all day, like, here's how you do it. To my internet kids fucking around in chats, get your money together and get that bitch on her back. Because I know a lot of people who, you know, are in chats with people, but they're not sure if it's going to work out or whatever. It's like, you need to meet someone in person to really know what kind of chemistry you got. And you really got to just go at it. Like, you got to make it clear what your intentions are. You got to get in there and you got to, like, fuck as soon as possible, because a lot can go wrong in these scenarios. And, like, you got to have confidence and you got to approach it the way I'm describing here. So, you know, don't just try to stick it in, nigga. That shit is mad whack. Spend a minute getting wet and make a plan of attack. You do foreplay, figure out what you're doing, you know, make sure you understand the approach you're trying to take. Be real open with a bitch about the shit you're gonna do to her, because if your expectations ain't met, then your feelings is gonna be hurt. So yeah, if you don't talk about what you want, if you know, try to do something that maybe she doesn't expect, then it's possible that this will backfire, you know? And you can't expect some bitch to just know how your mind works. Get your fucking shit together, man the fuck up, and talk to her. Like, I really wanted to emphasize that, like, there's a lot of people out there who will get hurt and blame the other person even though they were not really communicating, you know? So it's like, you can't just expect people to understand you without you explaining yourself. You know, that's what a relationship is. It's compromise. You both have to be willing to give a little something and explain yourself. You ain't done learning new shit until you can make her squirt and get your dick all up in her ass without making it hurt. Just basically, I'm saying, like, look, you gotta be able to pleasure this girl, because there's so many fucking girls I know who, like, just have terrible sex. Like, most of the girls I've talked to have had, like, they had to search for a long time before someone could even make them come, and, like, I just heard so many bad sex stories, and I'm like, you gotta fucking keep trying to improve and do new things and experiment until you're sure that, like, you've actually, you know, brought this person to as much happiness as they can have, because, like, that's what you owe to someone you're in a relationship with, is that you can bring them to, you know, the climax of what they're capable of experiencing. If you're coming less than twice, then you ain't putting in the work. Make her twerk up on your dick until that shit about to burst. So here I'm saying, if you are someone who just, like, nuts quick and fucks off and you aren't, like, you know, making sure to do your part, then I look down on you for that. But I'm also saying that, like, you need to, you know, I'm not saying that you have to be fucking constantly hard at all times, and like you're not allowed to have a fucking refractory period. But like if she's still horny, then tell her like, you got to get me hard again, get on my dick and twerk on it until I get hard so that I can fuck you again if that's what you want. If she feels safe with your hand around her neck, show her videos of ropes and melting wax up on the chest. Basically, I'm saying, like, figure out her comfort level, figure out how far she's willing to go. If she's into fetish shit, if you want to go a little bit, you know, if you want to do some crazy shit, you got to ease her into that shit. Then throw on some hentai and some background music, get the mood going, get between them thighs with the tongue, improve shit. Because you ain't shit if you get a blowjob and you don't go down on a bitch. I've tweeted about this and I've gotten a lot of support on that platform. Alright, so this continues through the whole, like, sex trilogy thing, which is Weed Hit the Spot When You Rockin' On My Thang, Baby. So this song was just some random-ass breakbeat thing that Shade had made at some point, because me and Shade both love, like, classic breakbeat samples and, like, that 90s techno sound that's in, like, all the old Bomberman games and shit like that. And so I absolutely loved this beat from the first time he made it, but this is another one where it was so chaotic that I didn't think like rapping over it would really add anything. It felt like it was more of an electronic song. But then I thought that in true 90s fashion, it should have like a really repetitive hook that just goes through the entire song. I mean, if you've never listened to stuff like smack my bitch up, switch my picture, smack my bitch up, I'm the fire starter, twisted fire starter. Or even like Daft Punk repetitive hooks, like all of it's kind of the same. So I just came up with a repetitive hook that would reflect something in my life that's fun and just like a consistent thought that would go through my mind while just fucking. It would just be weed hit the spot when you're rockin' on my thing, baby. Weed hit the spot when you're rockin' on my thing, baby. Weed hit the spot when you're rockin' on my thing, baby. So yeah, this was just from the ground up designed to be just a fuck song on the album. It's just a song for getting high and having good sex. While terrorizing his wife's body, he realizes that weeds hits a spot while you're rocking on my thing, baby. By the way, I think there's like really inconsistent third person in my write-ups on this. But whatever. So we get to the end of the fuck trilogy, and I made it so all these songs like run right into each other. You know, Weed Hit the Spot like just blasts in right after on that back. Like you think it's cooling off for a second, but then it just hits you with that track, and then that one goes right into this. Now the reason that I organized this track this way is that Seethe Part 1 was way back on Above the Earth Haunted, which came out almost exactly a year before this album. It was a similar kind of tone piece. Now, the original Seethe beat was only like 1 minute and 20 seconds long, but it was one of the best beats that Shade had ever done, and we were totally in love with it. He decided he wanted to try to make it longer because there was just so much potential in it. But when he did his extended version, I didn't really like the way that the tone change sort of affected the original song. Like, I felt like I liked that the original was so dour, and I didn't want it to suddenly become more bombastic, so I had just kept it the same, and eventually I broke off the second half of it to use as a beat here. But because of the fact that it opens in such a charging way, because it's meant to, you know, cut in as a beat change, I instead made it out as though it were a beat change of Weed Hit the Spot. So, you know, it just runs right into this track and keeps the energy going. The description here is, with his blood boiling over, he takes out all of his aggression towards his online interpersonal dramas and complaints from the haters on the beat in a confident swagger. So here, like, this is still in the fuck trilogy in the sense that it's a song that is good to fuck to, but it's more of like an aggressive, just like, you just go hard to this song. Like, this isn't really about like being a sex song. You could just as easily just consider this a fuck the haters song, but like, you know, it just tonally fits that part of the album. The original Seethe had opened with the lines, "I'd be hard-pressed to name 2 guys that I like unqualified or any that I find to be good," which was like a very roundabout way of saying that there's not a lot of people that I really care for. So in this one, I wanted it to be that it's this massive step up in aggression because it has gotten even worse. Like, I want to portray for you that back then I felt like I'd be hard-pressed to name 2 guys that I like without having to qualify that statement. Now I'm saying I'm hard-pressed to find 2 fuckers I like at all. Not just without qualification. I can't even find 2 fuckers that I like at all. So that's how, how strained I am in my relationships with most of the world. I might have to pause, recollect my thoughts, and get back to you. Like, to even name two, I have to take a second and, like, decide who those two are going to be, is what I'm saying. Picture somewhere in your mind a guy you generally like. Now think of 3 retarded dumbass things they did last night. This was meant to be in reference to myself. I was thinking about the fact that even my wife, who loves me to death and would never say anything negative about me, I know that if she had to think of 3 retarded dumbass things I did last night, like, she could come up with it. And then I continue into that in a more broad sense. Yeah, that's right. I know y'all all got torches ready to burn as soon as the tide turns and we ain't on good terms. What I'm saying is that, like, I know that if I have a falling out with any of my friends, like, they have a lot of things that they're going to want to say about me. Like, we all have torches to burn on each other. Like, we all have problems with each other that if things got ugly, these things are going to come out and come to the forefront. Because when you start thinking of somebody as an enemy, that's what happens. And, like, that's what's happened in my relationships with a lot of people that have turned sour over the years. The thought germs we spread, we interpret dread and let it overtake everything, overbaked evidence. So this is in reference to the fact that when you start hating someone and talking about that hatred with other people, it creates a thought germ. It's like all of you start having this dread that overtakes everything, and your evidence that this person's a bad person becomes overbaked. Now it's like ridiculous how much you hate this person, even though you might have thought of them as an ally at some point. Now, the original chorus was, when I'm not mad at everybody, then I'm mad at me. Obviously, I'm the type to see. This time it's, when I'm not mad at everybody, I'm just mad at myself. You're calling for help, and I'm just trying to tackle my health. The cards you were dealt may not have been as lucky as mine, but I'm still up on that get money shit. I ain't got time. So this is me representing what I consider to be the darkest aspect of my personality, which is that I'm so busy trying to make my own life good, to achieve the things that I'm trying to do with myself, that, even though I am in a pretty good place compared to most people, like, I'm still on my get money shit. I'm still trying to get bigger. I'm not satisfied with where I am. I'm trying to work harder. And even though there's other people who are calling for help and, like, could really use my assistance, it's like, I understand that you're in a worse situation from me and, like, that I could do something to help you, but I'm still up on my get money shit and I ain't got time for you yet. Come on Twitter like a stage, front of y'all looking deranged, about to be a few tomatoes gonna hit me in the face. This is pretty obvious. I'm just saying, like, when I get on Twitter, like, I tend to make a fool out of myself and people are gonna fucking have something to say about it. Playing YouTube like a game, got the future in my brain, but I can't reveal my hand so y'all think I'm getting lame. This has been kind of a problem I've been facing for the last almost 6 months now, ever since I took my major break in November to reassess, like, my career and decided that I was going to try to make sure all of my content was higher effort and that all of it had a more complete feeling. Like, because I started making all these really big plans that take a really long time to eventuate, it's like, people think I'm getting boring just because I'm not putting stuff out, and it's like, I can't show you what I've got because, like, I can't explain to you the plans that I've got in store until they start coming out. So, like, but I'm assuring you that my mind has been unchained and my thoughts cannot be tamed. I've been getting real strange since getting real strange. This is referring, of course, to, strange as a euphemism for sex. So, like, ever since I started getting laid and smoking weed, like, I've been opening my mind up a lot more. Like, being in a better place has given me more time to think about things and unchain my thoughts. Now my vids are all delayed because I gotta make them great, and I can't have any fuckboys holding space in my brain. So yeah, like, at this time I started pushing back releases of all my videos because I wanted to work on them more and, like, figure out how to make them better. And I don't have time for fuckboys who are gonna try to stop me. So Y'all Ain't Seen Nothing is kind of an almost ironic song, because the point of the song is to paint a portrait of what my actual everyday life is like that I have been deliberately trying to not show people. Because up until November, when I was doing tons and tons of podcasts and just, like, commodifying every single aspect of my life, I understood that, like, there's just too much going on in my life that's just average everyday stuff that you have to do now that you're someone who, owns a home and lives in the north, and, like, there's just certain things that go on in my life that are not worth talking about. It's just boring everyday shit, and I'm not going to tell all these tiny, like, I'm not going to turn every single moment of my fucking life into a vlog like I was doing before, because I'm not going to turn going to the laundromat into a vlog, you know, but like that's something I have to do now that I didn't have to before because I'm in a different living situation, and there's nothing I can really do about that, but it means I have less time to just vlog every waking moment of my day. So, you know, the description here says, as he settles into life in the North, he finds it best to simply be quiet about the boring everyday niceties which comprise much of his life. But seeing that his absence has been misinterpreted by some, he decides to offer a glance inside. So that's what's going on here. This is just like a portrait of what my everyday boring life is like that y'all ain't seen nothing about. Y'all ain't seen nothing about that life where I'm digging 2 inches snow off the hood just so I can go get a cheeseburger down the road, just a simple man at home, blasting heavy drone when I'm prone, but I'm not alone. She be getting down with that Merzbow, that's how I know how much that ring on her finger's really worth to me. So here I'm just saying that literally I have to dig 2 inches of snow off the hood of my car just if I want to go anywhere. Like if I just want to go to McDonald's like a fucking mile down the road, it's going to be a 15-minute process of like fucking scraping snow off of my car and, you know, warming it up so I can drive just to fucking get that shit. Like this is what my life is sometimes, you know, and sometimes I just get into a mood where I just want to blast heavy drone because I don't feel good, and it just so happens that May is into that stuff. Like she actually listens to like the crazy ass experimental music that I do and enjoys it, and that's why I fucking am in love with her, and like, you know, that's how much that ring on her finger is really worth to me. Way the hell more than I paid. Damn, we good at getting laid. Half my people don't relate. Yeah, that's typical. So here I'm talking about how, you know, ever since I started talking about sex all the time, I've had a lot of my audience who complains about that, and it's just that they don't relate to it. Like, I would love if the people who I follow talk about sex all the time. Like, that's the kind of shit I'm interested in. That's what I want from content creators. But some people don't want it from me. They look at it, you know, in a different way from how I do. They see it as like bragging, or they just don't like, you know, they've never lived this life. They don't want to hear about it. They're jealous, even. Some have admitted, you know. And I'm like, you know what? That's typical. Like, I've never been someone who connects easily with an audience. Like, the reason I didn't have an audience for a very long time is that I didn't start growing until I just started talking about relevant shit and kind of selling out. Like, my real ass art has never had a huge audience, so that's not surprising. Life is just a spiral, but not outward, it's cylindrical. So this is referring to the idea of like the Fibonacci spiral and the song Lateralis by Tool, where he's saying spiral out, keep going. And it's like this idea that your life is supposed to be a spiral where you keep going outward and growing bigger and bigger and like, you know, capturing more and more experiences on like an exponential level, and like that, you know, this is what the singularity is, this constant growth and an ever increasing amount of technological progress. But I'm saying here that time is not, life does not actually go in an outward spiral. It's a cylindrical spiral. It's more of a corkscrew. It's just like a sine wave, you know, it's the same thing repeating itself over and over again. You know, time and life are just going through this cycle, the manic high, manic low, if you will. Each of us is on a wave. So I'm saying, you know, you go up and down and you have like this sort of pulse, this wave that you're on. Hers and mine is just the same. So yeah, literally like the pitch that she and I are on, like our life, the sort of energy that we have is the same. And that's why we connect so well. Pitched up on a theta wave transmitted through outer space. I'm not actually sure what a theta wave is. I just know it from the System of a Down song by that title. But I'm saying that like, our wave that we share is being transmitted through outer space, you know, through internet technology out into the world. Damn, we in the future, babe, first among the new type race. So this is something that May and I talk about a lot because we have what feels like a psychic level of communication between each other. We literally can finish each other's sentences or just like predict one another's thoughts. Like sometimes one of us will ask the other if they were thinking something and they will be like, fuck, I was, you know? So like we just have that like insane level of knowledge of one another, and it's similar to the way that new types are portrayed in Gundam. So we're always saying that like we're obviously, because we're born in the digital age where there's like a higher level of communication, like another strata of it above what was typical in humanity, like if there was, you know, humans adopting to that, that would be the new types. So we are the first among the new type race, but still we're living in this place. Grab a snow brush, start to scrape. So here I'm humbling myself, and this has been a major part of my identity change over the last, 6 months, is that I had a kind of ego death when I started smoking, and getting real strange, and like realizing the ways that I hadn't been true to myself or hadn't been as good as I thought I should be. And, so in this line, I'm like, saying we're in the future, we're new types, we're badasses, but like the reality is we still live here. Like we don't have the money to just move to some tropical paradise. We're still living in the fucking north. We still have to grab a snow brush and scrape off our car. We don't have someone to do that for us. Y'all ain't seen nothing about that life where I clogged the sink with the nasty bong water because I had to clean one of these busted machines, cheap plastic mouthpiece, so I could put one more pinch into the bowl to shift my consciousness up to a place where I can feel creative, even while remaining native to the bedroom, staying sated, often all inebriated, just because it's been so fucking cold for so long that we can't step outside one more time or we'll just die. So this is all pretty direct. I literally was trying to clean one of the fucking, like, little bowl pieces on a bong that was just a cheap piece of shit, and I filled the sink with all this nasty bong water, and it got clogged, and it's all because, like, I'm obsessively, constantly trying to smoke weed because it's the only way I can feel creative in this place where I can't even leave my house, where like there's no inspiration to take from like going outside and doing things because you can't go anywhere. So like we just sit around and smoke, and it's so cold. It's been so cold for so long that we just can't even go outside anymore because we're sick of it. Let's just stay inside and smoke nice. Let's talk jive and fuck right. That good life, that feels right. So then I have this little hook where I say, y'all ain't seen nothing about that life where we sleep for 12 straight hours. Y'all ain't seen nothing about that life where I'm eating out the pussy after showers. So these are just, two aspects of my life that I cannot capture in camera, like that I do not have vlogs about, but are like major elements of my life. Is that sometimes I sleep all fucking day, and sometimes I'm just having real amazing sex that I'm real proud of, that like I am really like being able to have good sex is a major part of my identity in real life, but like it's not something I can present easily to the internet because I don't make porn. So here I wanted to do something that's sort of in the style of Milo's old music, because the tone of this beat and just the overall like overbearing honesty of this track reminded me of Milo a lot. And I remembered something he said in an interview with the Needle Drop, where he was talking about how he would do these little hooks in the middle of a song, but, never have them come up again, or just have places where a hook seems like it should be and he'd deliberately skip it. And his dad would try to tell him, like, oh, what if you put a hook there? And he'd be like, no, Dad, I'm trying to do art rap shit. And so, like, I wanted to kind of make reference to the idea that, like, I put this hook in here that would be, like, a meme rap, like, sensational hook. This is, like, a really tight, outlandish, edgy, fun hook, but I only slipped it in with one repetition, and then I say, that's a funny little hook. Hope you'll give a second look to these tracks that you pass right over in a glance. So, like, I'm saying, like, I really hope that this edgy, funny hook is enough to make you pay attention to these lyrics and, like, actually listen to this song and not just let it float by you because you think you already know what it's about, essentially. Till a little shard of glass breaks a little in your hand and you cannot get it out. So I'm saying that, like, you pass over these songs in a glance, but, like, eventually part of it gets stuck with you and you can't get it out. Like, you can't get the song out of your head. You find yourself relating to something and you can't stop thinking about it. It's a symbol for your doubts that you're always trying to face, emblemized within my speech in so many different ways. So I'm saying that, like, even if you didn't think so at first, some part of my message is going to connect with you and you're not going to be able to stop thinking about it. That within your mind it stays, taunting you around for days till you just can't look away and you give a few more plays. So yeah, just saying you're gonna get addicted to my songs. I'll forgive your crooked ways. So I'm saying that, like, even though you acted like you didn't like my shit and then eventually came around, I'm willing to forgive you because I'm like a church and you're gonna pay like you're in a fucking church. Here's my Patreon page. That's the collection bin. Show me what it's worth to have these words inside your brain. Like, show me what it's worth to you monetarily that you get to have someone give words to your doubts that you need to face. Like, if this music has helped you to conquer something in your life, show me what that was worth to you by paying it forward to me, you know? And then I start asking, like, do you think I've gone insane? Like, is there some people who think I've gone crazy? Are you worried I'll jump off the train? Are you worried I'm gonna, like, you know, give up on all this, or I'm gonna, like, suddenly not be doing art anymore or some shit? And then I say, if I pull a masterpiece, will I be burning off the fame? Like, if I do try to go all out and just make the best thing possible and spend all my time on it and don't do frequent uploads and don't make topical content, is that going to, like, burn away my audience? Originally, this lyric was going to be, if I pull an endless jest, but I was worried that people would not know what I meant by that, because what I meant by that is to make something like Horseshoe Finale, like to make a really epic piece of art, like a masterpiece. So I, changed it to a word that wouldn't be misinterpreted. Y'all ain't anticipating that I've been incubating. I've always been on schedule for the schemes initiating. So here I'm saying that, like, look, I know you guys might think that you have opinions about, like, what's going on with me, but you guys don't really know what's going on. You don't know what ideas I've been incubating, and in my mind, I'm on schedule for, like, what I'm trying to do, like, even if it doesn't seem that way to you, like, I know what's going on. It's only been the shape and form that nobody predicts. Success was in the cards before the child was 6. Bitch, I was built for this. So this is a reference to the way that, like, even when I was a little kid, I was constantly being told that, like, I was someone who was going to be successful because of just the way that I think. And, like, I always knew that that was in the cards. I've always believed that that was something that's going to happen for me, that I was built to do this kind of thing. And, like, whether or not anybody can predict the way I'm going to do it, it's going to happen. But then I kind of, at the end, suggest that, like, I don't have much of a choice, do I? Like, the only reason I'm so adamant about pursuing this is that it's the only thing I really know how to do. I can't really imagine my life going a different way. So, there's a trepidation in embracing it. Coyote howling in the forest. Occasionally, in the dead of night, he finds himself tasked to go outside into a world of sheer Lovecraftian horror. One of his people, Big Dig, joins him to speak of the struggle. So this one features Big Dig. For those who don't know, Big Dig is my good buddy. He is a fellow rapper of the North who is basically a really big, scary man who thinks that he's a samurai and that he's like a mixed race black Asian guy, but he's just a big white dude with white hair that he wears in a top knot and insists that he's a samurai. He's a cool guy, and he's got a deep voice that's kind of like Rick Ross, and I like him a lot. So this song was inspired by a actual event in my real life where I was going out to the car to do something late at night, and me and May just heard fucking coyotes in the forest going apeshit. Like, and I didn't know what it was at first, because the sound that coyotes make is like industrial noise, basically. Like, it sounds fucking nuts. And I was just like, what the fuck is that sound? And she was like, oh, that's coyotes. We got those in the north. So I was like, well, that's fucking terrifying. So I'm writing a song about it. So, coyote howling in the forest, can't ignore it, over winds that call your name out, and a mist you know is haunted. I, was using this beat by Blind Skywatcher once again, called Monday this time, which I kind of reflected that this is like a very everyday occurrence in the song. Like, the situations presented here, even though, like, this is a horrorcore track, it's very 666 Mafia, in fact, like, exceedingly. Big Dig's verse especially was almost entirely based off of the song Don't Be Scared, Put the Rubber on the Head, which comes from early 666. So Big Dig's verse, he tells a story about hearing coyotes in the forest while he was trying to take out the trash at 3 a.m. in the middle of a snowstorm, which is something that I can relate to. I had to step outside once while it's 3 a.m. to bring the trash can down to the yard's end. I see a white wind blast over everything. Car is only 5 feet away, but concealed within. So, like, I can't actually see the car because it's concealed within the white wind blast. Get up to the can, porch light disappears, I can't see shit, and all that I hear is coyotes in the forest going buck. If they get me in this weather, then I'm shit out of luck. So yeah, he's afraid of the coyotes. Pretty simple. Then we got the spooky voice that says, you can hide, but you can't outpace it. The wind in the trees will tear off your faces. Because, like, the wind gets really fucking crazy up here in the middle of these snowstorms. So now I come in with my verse. Which was actually inspired by the other guy from Injury Reserve this time, is the voice I was going for. Not afraid of animals and not afraid of drifts, so whereas Big Dig was worried about the coyotes and the snow, I'm like, these aren't the things that worry me, but what I am spooked by is the ghouls that are out prowling in the mist, because I am a paranoid stoner who's worried that the world is going to end and that humans are just monsters in disguise. One of these you speak his name in our universe don't exist. This is a reference to one of the elder gods from Lovecraft horror, and actually Cthulhu, I think, if you speak his true name, will cause the death of the universe as well. So, yeah, like, it's just to evoke a Lovecraftian image to fit the tone of the album. Others will just eat your children right in front of you like pigs. So I just wanted to say some really dark shit that, like, these demons are going to do to your family. I be ducking under demons that be lurking underneath. Some of these people ain't people any more than skin deep. So basically I'm saying that I stay woke. I'm on the lookout. Like, I'm not going to get, killed by these guys because I'm ducking under them. Like, I see this shit coming. I understand which people are demons. Some of these people aren't really people, and I can detect them because I've been through a lot, So I'm always in the gym trying to keep my body straight so when punk-ass monsters roll up, I can punch them in the face. We were doing pretty well at the gym at the time that I was recording this album, not so much at the present moment, but, so I wanted to talk about the fact that we had been going to the gym, and, I was kind of training so that, so I'm ready for what the world has in store for me. The very end, I wanted to have, because the song has this kind of lights fade out, I wanted there to be kind of like a breath of relief at the end of the song. Like, we escaped all the spooky monsters and, we're back in the house. We had a little stint of going outside. This is what happens when you go outside in the north. It's all coyotes and monsters and Lovecraft. So we get back up in the trap, we melt the snow up off our lap, get some bud to warm us up, because northern winter shit is fucked. So here's where we get into the most reflective song. This is where I'm thinking back, looking at all this, the snowy life that I've come to live. I'm reminiscing about what it used to be like back at Virginia Beach and what my life had been back then. So it says, hearing a beat that his brother made before even the creation of Bedroom Bedrock, which he'd made a rap for that he ended up throwing away, he takes this opportunity to categorize his feelings about leaving home and to flip the old lyrics into some sad boy shit. So yeah, the original song for this beat was one of the earliest beats that Shade ever made. This was the first beat that Shade made that I was excited about, that I wanted to rap over, that I thought was really fucking fuego, and I wanted to have a release on it. Victor had an idea for a music video at the time, and he wanted me to do something in the style of Wiki from Rat King over this, but I had misinterpreted his intent because he told me he wanted something spacey, which I don't know what the fuck he meant by that. So I had made some sad boy sounding shit, some shit that sounded like Young Lean, and it wasn't very good because I was pretty new to rapping at the time. This is one of the first ones I had written, this is pre-Bedroom Bedrock. I improved dramatically once I actually started writing that album. But it had this hook at the end that I had really liked, where I sang, in our rooms playing Street Fighter, don't come out till it gets brighter. Can we really say we've been alive when we've lived here our whole lives? So the original song was all about living in Virginia Beach and just hanging out with my friends and how we really only have a culture inwardly because this city is just a big suburb where people aren't really meant to live and there's nothing really to do. There's no sense of culture here except for that we sit in a room and play video games and drink. So that was the original song, but obviously I can't write that song today. I can't revisit that topic and try to write it in my current mind state because I don't live there anymore. So instead, I felt like if I was going to use this beat that I already had this connection with of thinking of it as a song that reminds me of the vibe of Virginia Beach, just the way it sounds has this ocean waves feeling to it, So I really wanted that to be communicated in it, so I thought, okay, we'll use it as a song about how I feel about having left home. So I used to see myself as a beach kid VA. So I used to put a lot of emphasis on this idea that like I was this voice of Virginia Beach, that I was like representing a culture unique to this area because like no one else in the world is like me, and so this is like the uniquely Virginia Beach sound. And so I used to see myself that way, granted only after dark when all the normies sleeping, because I wasn't, doing the actual life of like what people who live there do. I wasn't like going to the beach and the tourist traps and shit. I'd celebrate the streets where they made my favorite meat buns, Kevin's Doghouse and IHOP, the reruns, because I used to talk about Kevin's Doghouse fucking constantly on Digibros. Like, I was shouting out that local shit all the time. Literally, some of my fans ate there, like, when they passed through Virginia Beach, just because I've talked about it so much, and I eat there every time I go back. Mad respect to homies, though I was a little distant. So I'm saying, like, all my friends from back home, like, I've been extremely distant. I haven't talked to anybody, basically, at all. Like, the only time I saw some of my friends was at New Year's, and I barely even talked to them then. And they all just saw me fucking propose to my fucking fiance, and were just like, whoa, what the fuck? So living quarters was the sickest anyone had lifted, because like, yeah, my house was really awesome. I had a great room, and I thought I'd stay forever because I felt connected. Like, I thought that my house was so cool and the area was so cool, and that my homies who I respected, like, I thought I was connected to this place, but eventually I realized I was too eclectic for this place. Like, none of these people were really into the same shit as me. Like, I wasn't really getting anything done in Virginia Beach. None of the people I was friends with wanted to collaborate with me on art, and, like, I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere by being there. So that's when I broadened my horizons, lived beyond the moment, in the moment, without guidance, lifted to another thought, which I'm referring to smoking weed and like, broadening my sense of the world, sought a wife with body of a thought. So that I could rock night by night and find a life with, bruh. So basically saying, like, I found a woman who's, like, even though she's got the body of, like, a fucking, porn star, she's someone who I can find a life with, who I am in love with. And this was entirely Denzel Curry inspired, the delivery here. Like, I really wanted this to be, like, his zenith shit, like, that idea of the self-betterment that he preaches in his lyrics. By the way, Denzel Curry is the greatest rapper of the fucking, who's the greatest young rapper in the game right now. I fucking am obsessed with him. So then there's the beat switch, and I go into like the more sad boy part where I'm not coming as aggressive with my feelings and sort of getting even more introspective and vulnerable. I say, I listened to the albums that I made with my friends, for which nobody was paid, no real listeners but me. Like, I made a ton of albums with my old group of friends. All of the old Trial of the Golden Witch shit, the whole, year one period, all the shit that's on Pure Volume that I need to remember to rescue before it goes offline. Like, no one ever listened to that shit. Like, not even the people who were on it. None of them really cared about that stuff. Like, only I actually liked this music that I was making. And I had really looked up to my friends. I think of how I really looked up to them, was let down to my expectations and gave up on them. Like, I expected that we were going to do something together. Like, I thought that because my friends are so talented that we would start a band or we would start doing something. And eventually I was let down to that expectation, and I just gave up and stopped talking to them. And I come to the conclusion they're just on another walk in life, and it's all good to me. I ain't about no strife. Like, I don't mind. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm not trying to start drama or anything. I'm just saying, like, this is how it was. I felt let down, and that's why I sort of broke off to go hang out with other people who I met online. I'm doing fine, going crazy with my work and wife under the feet of snow which blanket every night. So just saying, like, it's all good. Like, I'm living a good life, and it's fine, and I have no regrets about anything that's gone on. And then I didn't write the lyrics in because I wanted to have this be like a mumbly, sort of unexplained, distant part at the end, but I sort of flipped the original hook from the old song into something more sad boy at the end, and it's the emotional part that makes you tear up when you think about the old days. So lastly, we have I Want to Wake Up With You for the Rest of My Life. Now, I don't know what it is, but with me, I cannot write a straightforward love song. Like, to me, when you write a song about love that's too broad, that doesn't get into the specifics of, like, what is it that I love about you, like, I mean, with the song Way Up on Manic High, that one was kind of like just a good times ballad. Like it was very much a love song. It was I'll take you anywhere, I'll do anything with you kind of song, but it was more of like a sugary romantic thing. It wasn't like a true love, like here's what I really love about you song. You're the One was. But that was over a really like chaotic staccato beat that I, felt was like kind of Bus Driver-esque, and that's why I kind of tried to use his voice on that song. This one is also one that's in a really fucking strange time signature that's almost unpredictable and was really difficult to write around. But somehow, to me, expressing love by having that level of complexity and having to like navigate all these feelings to have this perfectly intertwined, vocal and music is like the epitome of what love is. It's when you can tightly knit the vocal and lyrics so hard that like they're inseparable, that like this rap cannot exist without this beat. It's a perfect match. It was written around it. I had to listen to the song extensively and know everything about this fucking beat in order to write for it. And it also is the best way that you can do a calmer or slower or more emotional rap while still having it being technically impressive. Because I want it to be showy. I want you to know that my love is something that's like deep enough and grandiose enough that I'm willing to put that extra effort into trying to express it in that like, extra deep and technical way. So we've got the lyrics, waking up right next to you corrected my life, which is absolutely true. Just, when I wake up and the first thing I see is like the person that I care about the most in the whole world. And, it makes me, as I say in the next lyric, I never have to prioritize. I know what I want when my eyes catch light. Like the second I wake up, I know what I'm fighting for. Like, what is the day about? Why am I here? It's because I have you. And I know a lot of my friends who are in relationships have told me that this song makes them fucking cry because of these lyrics. I see your pride coming back to bed with your hair wet, telling me to lay back and let you ride. This is referring to the fact that sometimes me and May are on untimed sleep schedules where I stay up all night working and I end up sleeping for a few extra hours. If she wakes up before me, she'll often like take a shower, do her hair and makeup and shit before I even wake up and then come back to bed. And so, I'm like saying that I see the pride that you have in like, making yourself look good for me. Husband and wife are maybe really two porn stars because we can take it so damn far. Just saying, we're really good at sex. Raised by cartoons, that's how we understand who we are. We're both big-time anime fans. We both grew up watching primarily animation, and we relate to the world through that. Snapchat sex, hentai, hot chicks with mental scars. These are the things that we're into. We met through Snapchat sex. We are both obsessed with hentai. It's like kind of like the thing that we are probably the most excited about as a couple to do together is to watch hentai. And we love hot chicks with mental scars and like analyzing that kind of media. We relate best to bars and dank memes. Like I've always related to the aesthetic of bars and the idea of just like, that reckless abandon of like just trying to deal with your problems by way of, the tools that we've developed as humans to deal with them. And dank memes, because ever since we started getting high, we used to watch a lot of dank meme compilations because we used to get way more high than we do now, but, Hitting on the green leaf always before we proceed, which is true. We always smoke before we do anything. No weed means a night meeting a strange teen in an ATM. Yeah, so if we run out of weed, we gotta go. Our drug dealers are fucking 19-year-olds who are completely unreliable and sometimes will cause us to go nights without being able to buy anything. Hitting Zen with something else to drink round 10. So basically saying, like, oftentimes we would smoke throughout the early part of the day and then we'd start drinking later into the night. I wonder where I'd be around then if you weren't there to be my friend. With you a different life begins. So I'm reflecting on what it was like up until this point. If you listen to Bedroom Bedrock and Gay and Dead, I literally talk about like the hours of day and how I feel in those times, Back in Broken Brilliance when I'm like, please don't speak to me between 3 and 8 a.m. Or like in Rotten where I say, I'm fine from 4 till dawn, but wronged from 6 p.m. to 1, like during that time period that I ordinarily feel like shit, like is a period where now I feel great because I'm with the love of my life, and we're having fun together. And like, I'm thinking about how if you weren't there for me, then where would I be at 10 o'clock, and like clearly a different life has begun. So this is the life I want, and I want to wake up with you for the rest of my life. So the rest of this verse is where I go really specific, and I'm literally telling the story of how I proposed, because I'm a huge fan of New Year's Day. It's my favorite holiday. It's the only holiday I really care about celebrating, because the whole point of it is to get really drunk, and I really like to compartmentalize my life into like months and years and stuff. Like, I really see it as like, this is the year that this happened, and it's a way that you can constantly track your progress as a person and like, see what you've been up to and like assess where you're going. So I wanted to propose on New Year's pretty much from the beginning of me deciding I was going to propose, just because I thought, like, what better way to usher in the new year than to know from the beginning that we have, made this step in our relationship, that we are, like for all of 2018, we will be fiancés. So I literally proposed the moment the ball dropped. So champagne pops on a backdrop of two hands locked. So I'm describing the scene that was going on. People were popping champagne because we were on the countdown, and, the two of us had our hands held. We were psyching one another up for the question I'm about to pop, because she had long figured out that this is what was going on, because basically we got our ring super late. Like, it was down to the minute, and there was no other time that it would have made sense for me to do this. However, it ended up being a weird event because my mom invited a whole bunch of people, even though I had told her not to. So it was super awkward, and we were really terrified. So we were holding each other's hands for like half an hour, just psyching one another up. The question I'm about to pop at the moment that the big ball drops. I'm ready to pull out the stops and give you all I've got. I better be the one you want, because I'll love you till my old heart stops. And that's a guarantee, young hot. Prepare to occupy my every thought. So here I'm just saying, like, look, I'm going all in. As soon as the ball drops, I'm going to give you everything I've got. And so, like, I hope you sincerely want me forever, because I'm willing to make that commitment to like be with you for the rest of your life, and to be obsessed with you. So yep, that's my proposal song. That's my big sweetie boy emotional marriage track. And there you go. That's Ghost of Midwinter Ballers. That's the story of my feelings over the course of the winter of 2017-2018. Next project I put out is going to be Emotional Anime Raps 2. It's mostly done. I'm just waiting on one last guest verse before it comes out on what is going to be the dankest track that any of you have ever heard. I'm really excited to release that. And then after that, I've got another project in the works that's super secret that I can't even talk about yet. That one's going to be super fucking weird and experimental and nothing like anything. And you motherfuckers better be ready to analyze it, because you're going to have to even understand what the fuck is going on. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.